Morning, everybody. It's 8:10 a.m. It is September 30th, end of the month, end of a quarter. So today, on these types of days, sometimes there's some games played, there's some window dressing at the end of the day, where portfolio managers, fund managers, like the window dress. So there might be a buying spree in the last, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes of the market. I've seen that happen plenty of times where all of a sudden it's like we're down, and then all of a sudden it's just like boom, 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 boom. So be on the lookout for that. That's more in the later. I'm hoping not to be trading at that time anyway. So we have a government shutdown still looming, and I think that goes into effect at midnight. Um, so that's what's going on there. Now, yesterday we had a pretty large gap. We gapped up, right? And I'm saying in my stream yesterday, I said they were very hard to trade, and yesterday was no different. Even though I'm a spot on what I said pre-market. I said we're 100% net long, pretty much getting paid since Thursday morning, and that is bound for a correction. I didn't know how deep, and that's what happened. And the QQQ almost hit all-time highs but failed. Once that happened, profit taking pretty much ensued. Tempo was slow. Tempo was really slow, and the internals were never super weak, really. So yeah, not my cup of tea to trade. When I was live in my room in Discord, I was saying that we're range bound, and I was talking like, "Oh, look, we're going back and forth," and then finally we broke lower and we filled the gap. Now the Nasdaq never filled the gap. Okay, Nasdaq actually never filled the gap yesterday, and the only thing that I decided to do yesterday was I put on a broken wing butterfly, a put on Broadcom. Okay, so I put a broken wing butterfly. I know this is an advanced spread. Tried to explain it in my room a little bit. I understand if you're new to options, it's going to probably fly right over your head. I've been trading options for 6 years, probably 5 of those years doing advanced options. So that's something, again, in my tool belt that I wasn't really utilizing because I was concentrating on futures. But now I'm really trying to sit back and just pick whatever is there. So over the weekend, I had Broadcom on my list. I didn't share it with everyone, but it was on my Discord. You can see here, I'll show you really quickly in my Discord over the weekend. I was doing some plays that I wanted to look at, and it's in my weekend outlook part of my Discord here. And you can see here, this was 9:28, so you can see at 9:28, 12:50 p.m. I say Alvgo downtrend, hit 20 SMA, backside target gap fill at 310, the 50 SMA and trend line ratio spread debit 330, 310. So I had that over the weekend, and basically when the market, like the Qs, pretty much failed to make all-time highs, I was like, you know what, this is probably worth it, and I threw it on. Okay, threw that on. Here's the trade, the actual spread that I originally put on. So, like I said, it's advanced. The bottom line, all you have to know is I paid $248, so $2.48. By the market close, it was worth $1 more, and an open P&L of open P&L of 102. So the way this works, basically, I can make $1,500 basically by Friday. That's the max profit. All right. So if we're around 3:15 on Friday afternoon, I can collect, yeah, almost about $1,500. So from paying 248 to 1500. That's the beauty of doing broken wing butterfly. Okay. So it's in the money. I know Avgo right now, Broadcom, had a little pop. It's actually the strongest stock, but it's still in the money, my spread. So we'll see. We'll see. So we'll see how that goes. I'll explain a little later why I put it on. All right. But let's get to today. Now, today, end of quarter, end of day, I already mentioned that. We have data coming out 9:45, Chicago PMI, Jolts Jobs at 10 a.m., Consmr Confidence at 10 a.m. So there's some Fed speak as well. Government shutdown looming. And let's just get into it. Welcome to my channel. My name is Steven Gonzalez. I use market profile and volume profile to find structure in the markets, along with supply and demand, gamma exposure levels, the most traded price of the year, the month, the week, and the previous day. That is my edge. It's the way I structure my game plans. Okay. I also use anchor view ops. Market internals let me know what the market's doing at the open. All right. And then I use bookmap for my execution. And then I also have my weekly expected move indicator that I give for free on my Discord. Okay. Now, hopefully, you guys join me every morning. Subscribe, set that alert. Let me give you the market story, technical analysis every morning. All right. You want your one-stop shop for information here, you just come here. All right. For the first, I'd say 15-20 minutes, anybody can listen. You can hear what's going on in the news, what's going on in the markets, what's possibility down the road. I give you that. And then later on, it gets a little more advanced. All right. Now, if you want more in-depth coverage every day, intraday commentary, you're going to join my Discord. That's Confluence Trading. Go to the YouTube homepage, click on the link, sign up. Okay, I just give you a little preview before, but a real quick preview here. Every morning I give you my YouTube live stream link. All right, YouTube live stream link. After that's done, I actually bookmark and make bookmarks for you guys on my scenarios. During the market open, I give you live commentary like I did yesterday. Okay, like I did yesterday. I also give you my trades. I'm going to put my options trades in there as well with futures trades. Okay, give you trade recaps, educational if you follow them. Okay, I'm going to start to do this again. I didn't notify anybody because these are some of the plays I was looking at. Okay, with options tied to them. And then the weekly expected move. All right, put this up on your charts. Trust me, folks. Trust me. That is pretty awesome indicator for free. All right, for free. All right. So why don't we move on and we'll get right into the watch list here, futures watch list. All right. This VIX is up 2.292%, almost a 17 basis. Very, very interesting. Remember yesterday we gapped up and the VIX was up. It's very odd. Okay, I know we have non-farm payrolls and unemployment. 30-year bonds flat. Dollars down 0.11. 10-year yield down 0.14. A bunch of red here. Nasdaq's down 0.16. Dow's down 0.19. ES down 0.19. Russell's down 0.37. Gold down 0.40. Ethereum down 0.72. Bitcoin down 1.19. Silver's down 1.46. Crude. Wow. Crude tried to make a run, and then it went right back into its mean. It's literally at the most traded price of the rolling year in this year. It just can't get away from that area, which makes sense. Okay, it's a big area, so it just can't move away from there. All right, let's look at the Mag 7 Plus. Now the Broadcom I talked about yesterday. I am short Broadcom. Okay, now it's the leader this morning based on where it closed. Okay, but it dropped about $6 yesterday. So we'll see here. I'm still confident in this play, but you never know what can happen. So that's the only positive, which is funny. I think it's because it was the weakest yesterday. Okay. Let's see here. Amazon is flat. Let's go to any really laggard. Tesla down 0.66 and Coinbase down 0.90. That's really what you got going there. Okay. Moving on. Top sectors now. Is there anything to note? Well, it looks like Visa Visa, part of the financial sector, is up 1.12. Not sure why yet. And you got the laggard, Newmont Mining, right? Miner. That makes sense. Gold's down. Okay. Down 1.25. That's a big player in your basic materials ETF. And Palantir, I did not notice this. That's why I added to the list. It's actually number 5 in the technology sector. Down 0.85. Okay. That's what's going on there. Let's look at some granularity here. All right. Let's see who moves markets today. Celsius, that drink, is up 3.78%. I think this is Fiserv or Fidelity. I can't remember. Doesn't really matter. They're not up that much. Let's go to the laggards. Tilray. Tilray, after that big move yesterday, probably profit taking. Spotify's down 3.8%, 3.80%. IonQ, quantum computing, down 3.72%. Oklo, that's nuclear energy, down 3.03%. Okay. Nothing crazy on that list to really be worried about or to pay attention to, really. Moving on to sectors. Sectors is what we care about, the main sectors in the markets. Basic materials is flat, so that's all flat. Now, let's go to something with weight here. Financials down 0.18. Healthcare down 0.26. And your laggard is energy. Your laggard is energy. Semiconductors is flat. So let's see what kind of market we have today. I like that it's Tuesday. Away from the big gap. We're not gapping, so I like that. All right. Moving on. Let's look at some news. Economic calendar. Alrighty. I already talked about it, but let's say we got Chicago PMI 945, 10 a.m. Jolts Jobs, and Consmr Confidence. Probably staying away from the market until after 10 a.m. Okay. Probably staying away. Trump's on the docket today. So we got Fed Logan already spoke. Trump and Defense Secretary Hegseth speak at 9 a.m. Fed Collins speaks at 9 a.m. Trump makes an announcement at 11 a.m. Interesting. I know he's been putting more tariffs on furniture and stuff like that. But at 11 a.m. So it always stinks when he talk. I mean, lately he hasn't really been saying anything earth-shattering. Lately, 3 o'clock, you have Trump signs executive orders. Okay. There's really nothing to talk about there. Let's go into some stock news. Let's see if we got some stock news here we can talk about. And if we don't, we have more stuff to talk about. Let's just see. They usually have a good list here. Oh, they didn't update it today. Looks like I just saw nuclear. Hold on. Yeah, it says Bank of America cuts nuclear stocks on valuation concerns. So that's your Oklo. I have a couple like uranium and nukes ETFs. They don't seem like they're down too much, but the Oklo's down. Let's look. Well, I'm going to try this one more time because it usually sometimes refreshes and gives me the stocks. But if not, we'll move on. It's not that important. I just like giving you guys the updates on why stocks are moving. We could. There's also another way I can do that, so we'll do that. Okay. Let's look at the more news. Trump sets 10% tariffs on lumber imports, 25% on cabinets and furniture. Exclusive 4 GM launch programs to extend use of 7,500 EV lease credit. ExxonMobil to cut 2,000 jobs. Boeing in early stages of developing 737 MAX replacement. NBC Universal YouTube TV distribution fight highlights streaming's new power struggle. Popular NBC shows including Sunday Night Football and America's Got Talent may disappear from YouTube TV as soon as Tuesday if the two sides fail to agree on a new distribution deal, a standoff that could influence the future of television. Wow. I did see that scrolling. I have YouTube TV. I did see that scrolling on the top this weekend. All right, let's look at this here. Alcoa, let's see, Alphabet. Here we go. Company Alphabet, company-owned YouTube, has agreed to pay $24.5 million to settle a lawsuit that U.S. President Donald Trump brought against the company over the suspension of his account following January 22 U.S. Capitol riots. Let's see. Just trying to see here. All right, this is with Visa. Remember, Visa's up. The company said it will start testing a new way for businesses to fund international payments by allowing them to use stablecoins instead of pre-depositing cash in local accounts. The move signals growing acceptance of digital tokens among major businesses. Wow. Okay. Looks like Wolfspeed, the chip maker, said on Monday it has exited Chapter 11 bankruptcy after cutting its total debt by nearly 70%. Wow. And just some stock. Let's see here. Carnival Corp. JP Morgan raises target price to 42 from 39. Duolingo. Jeffries cuts target price to 325 from 400. EA. Jeffrey cuts stock rating to hold from buy and raises target price to 210 from 200 after the company agreed to take private for $55 billion by a consortium including Silver Lake. Okay. All right. That's stock news. Now I promised you guys another part here. We can just look at some movers here. So let's do that. So right in here, let's see what's moving. And I'm only going to talk about stuff that we know. There's the Celsius. All right. All right, let's go to Laggard. Only stuff we know. Tilray, we already talked about. Spotify, Oklo. All right, we talked about that. So let's go to the upgrades. We'll start with upgrades. Let's see who got an upgrade today. Semtech, Celsius. Okay, we talked about that. Let's go to downgrades. Let's see here. Anybody? Spotify got a downgrade. All right. And let's see here. Analyst change. Just trying to give you guys something to take about. Nothing really. I don't think anything's earth-shattering here. Buybacks. No. Don't. Price target. Let's look at price target real quick. Nothing there. See at the bottom. Nothing really there to talk about. All right. Market chatter. We'll just end here. Alibaba's up 1.2%. No. Nothing there. All right. Let's move on. We'll go to market internals recap today. Just real quick. This was not easy at all. We started with a big gap up. You got some initial strength because the NASDAQ was relatively strong. Okay. QQQ technology was relatively strong early on. There was a disconnect. And all you needed was see these market cap bars to start trending lower, and that's really what brought the rest of the market down. But the market was never really ever weak. So I didn't think this was going to go all the way down. It's just the price action was, once this dump happened, this was just garbage. I mean, this is just, I'm glad I didn't trade. I just put the Broadcom on. So I'm glad I was not trying to trade that because, like I said, big gaps are just hard because it's like the whole market has to digest it. Better to go to an individual stock, hence why I went with Broadcom short in options. Okay? In options. All right. That's your market cap in market internals recap. Okay. We'll move on to the daily charts here. All right. So let's go here real quick. So this is, the Thursday, Friday, then the gap up, right? Then look, you filled the gap in SPY. You went right to Friday's close. Morning, Chief. Went right to Friday's close. Pretty much filled that gap. Okay? And then you got bought up. All right? So at the end of the day, you did make a higher low. You did close higher than Friday. Okay? You're within last week's range. All right, now you can see, you look to the left, you're in all this congestion to the left, right? Not an easy place to be for the markets. All right, where are we at now? 662.70. 662.70. We are at the lower third. Yeah, right here. Right here at the lower third yesterday. All right. So let's look at futures. Okay, here's our futures. That is a nasty wick here, almost like an inverted hammer. Then we have a doji. Yeah. Not really liking where we're at here in the middle of this garbage. We just have to see. You see the 9 EMA dailies kind of flattening out. That just tells you the recent price action, and we're just kind of flat. Okay. Yes, we did come down, we did come up, but look, we're kind of flat now. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Let's look at the Qs. All right, here's the Qs. Okay, same thing. Higher low, higher low, higher low. The Qs did not fill their gap, so they were relatively stronger yesterday, but that's a nasty wick, almost making an all-time high and failing. So once that failed, I believed everyone who was long from here was going to take some profits. That basically was what happened. All right, so 598.22, 598.22. Yeah, we're at the lower third of yesterday. The lower third of yesterday. Okay, let's look at your futures. Yeah, got a doji, very indecisive candle in the overnight session. Nasty, almost inverted hammer here. 9 EMA daily kind of flattened out. There's that breakout point. See, we came up here. That breakout point's still there. 250, 220s, and the NASDAQ futures. Okay. We just have to see. Like I said, we're in the middle of this range now, and it's not the best place to be. Okay. Just not. Okay. Real quick, let's look at the RSP, the equal weight, and let's just see how equal weight is doing. Mess. Mess. What a mess. Okay. This is, folks, this is our markets if there was no market cap weight. This would just treat all 500 stocks as equal. You see this mess? This right here is a mess. Okay? That's what your equal weight is doing. That is pretty gross. Now you can see here the 20-day is flattening out. That just tells you even more, right? 20-day simple moving average is flat. Look at this balancing here. You can't get out of its way. You move up, you move down, you move up. It's ugly. Okay? That's equal weight. Now, that's why, okay, this market is hard to read for day trading some days, because if we just go to our regular markets, right, that doesn't look like that. You back out, it's just trending up, right? It looks cleaner. But that's because the market cap weighted index, right? So that's why every day there's like an outlier. Yesterday, tech was strong and the rest of the market was not as strong. So it makes price movement like jumpy or not smooth, okay? And this has been a constant theme lately. It's like this almost every day. You know, in a nice trending market, you have the market working together, or all working against you, or working with you. And you have these nice moves. Not the case right now. Okay, it's really not. I just showed you the RSP. Now remember, just anybody that wants to know, when I talk about my internals, right? Give me a second here. When I talk about my internals, right? That white line basically is representing the RSP. It's the equal weight. That's just showing me, hey, what is the overall market doing, right? And you can see there's a disconnect a lot. See, disconnected. Equal weight was weaker because the NASDAQ was strong, right? And then they got together, and that's when the move happens, right? Then they got together again. That's what we push back up. Then they got disconnected again. So you see what I mean? So if anybody wants to know, whenever I say, hey, equal weight's doing this, that's all it is the RSP. It's equal weight. Okay? All right, I think we can move on to the hourlies. And hourlies is a very interesting chart here. Not interesting, just it is interesting because it usually don't see the market quite like this barcodey. Let's get our hourly charts up here. So in the overnights, you had this consolidation. Market opened up, right? Tried to test this supply, failed yesterday, and we went all the way down to there. Then the market covered here. Now look at this consolidation. Wow. Right? In the overnight, and then we broke. And now we're consolidating again like a barcode. Okay. So we're looking to establish another downtrend here. We had one here. We broke it. Remember yesterday what I said? I don't trust that move up. That was not good structure. And look what the market did. Just took it all away. Okay. And I looked at it yesterday. I'm like, could I have had a short yesterday? That was part of my setup because I take advantage of what I said, that we were 100% net long in the overnight, and take advantage of that. I honestly didn't really have a setup. I looked at it. I was like, could I have? Not really. Maybe in a credit spread, but in SPX, but nothing like day trade wise where I was like, ooh, that was my setup. I should have shorted. I was just right in my analysis. That's really it. Okay. Now, 66.90, what is it? 66, I want to say 92 or 3 is the most traded price of the week. It happens to be, see from this low right here, I have an anchor VWAP. That is right, lines up with that most traded price of the week. Okay, so the buyers from this low, this represents them. Okay, it's nice that it lines up with the most traded price of the week. Pretty nice. Okay. And so we got some high volume nodes here. So like I said, this consolidation is nasty. So I don't know. Like I said, we're not in a great area. Okay, if we zoom out here, because it's futures, this is an hourly chart, right? You can see here where we're at. There's a lot of volume here in this area. A lot of congestion. Okay. I just saw aggressive buyers in my time of sales come in. That's because you just broke this consolidation. I can show you that real quick. Here's my footprint chart with time and sales. See this yellow in the time and sales? That's aggressive people lifting the offers. Okay, lifting the offers. All right, back to hourlies. Let's go to Qs, the NASDAQ futures. Okay. Here we go. So there's that anchored VWAP. From here, from this low, this is, I believe, Friday's lows. Same thing. NASDAQ was strong, right? Tried to go up to all-time highs, couldn't, dropped, right? We never even filled the gap yesterday. That's a gap right left from yesterday. And we just tested this support, and now we're into this consolidation. Now the two, write this down, the 248 2 nines, 248 3 zeros. This is a very important price right now. That is your most traded price, not of the rolling month, of this month. Very, very, very big price. Okay. I can show you here if I just throw a volume profile. Let's just start from over here. Actually, let me do it again. So I'm just going to just start from here. Oh, we can start from here. And you'll see the volume in that right there. You see that? Right to what I said, right? Pay attention to that level. Look at the volume in that level. And that's not even from the whole month. I'm just showing you from a piece in time, but look at how much volume is transpired there. 24829, 24830 in the Nasdaq futures. Write it down. Write it down. So to how I'm going to look at that level, if the market can accept price above it, you got to be bullish. Below it, you got to be bearish. That's how I'm going to look at it. Look at the volume in that level, right? And if I take this and I slide even to here, let's see if that's still the most traded price. Yep. See that? See, that's how much volume has been tracking. Even if I go to, let's say, this price, let's see, that becomes the most traded price of the week. That makes sense, right? That makes sense. Perfectly lines up with my most traded price of the week. Okay, you still have a high volume node here, but just know that's an important price. Okay, an important level to be cognizant of. Okay, like I said, we're in a real messy little market right now. It's not my favorite. Alrighty. Before we get into I'm gonna give you my Avgo, why I got into it real quick, that trade. So just a recap. Okay, here's my trade on Broadcom right here. It's called a broken wing butterfly on the put side. Okay, cost me $248. Yesterday it closed up $102. It already gained over $1 in premium from my spread. Okay, my max profit would be $1,500 if this goes to 315. I'm not expecting to do that. That's not the point of putting it on. Okay, now why did I put that on? That's where I want to go to my analysis. Okay, so let me show you why I put it on. Give me 1 second while I bring up the chart here. And there's multiple reasons. That's why I'm going to show you that. Okay. All right. We're going to start with a daily chart of Broadcom. Okay. First thing I want to talk about, right, is just go on moving averages, right? So remember, this candle didn't exist. Maybe we can move that. Okay. Yes, yes, yes. All right. That's how it looked over the weekend. Okay. And what I saw was it's downtrending, right? And it's having problems with the 20-day moving average. And then we have a declining 9 EMA daily. We also have a gap below, okay, with the 50-day moving average right here. Okay, so automatically I'm thinking, okay, this has been a weak stock, right? And I would like to short it, and I would like to target around this area, 314, 310 area. Okay, because I think it's ready to fill the gap. So yesterday we had that. Okay, yesterday we had that. All right, beautiful candle. Now, why I liked it was, look what it did. Let's get right into it. It rejected the 20-day simple moving average, right? But this is where I really liked it. Remember what the QQQ did. Okay, I'll show you right here. Remember what the QQQ did. Right up here to the, it couldn't make it up to the all-time highs and got a nasty wick, right? I like that as well. So I'm like, let's go back to the Broadcom, right? So I like that. Now, that's the daily chart. We have the gap and the 50-day moving average. So I'm targeting this area, the 50-day moving average. That's what I'm targeting by Friday. I don't know if I'm going to get it. Okay? I don't know if I'm going to get that. Now, moving on. Why did I also choose this? Okay? I know you're not going to fully understand what I'm going to say here, but let's get this purple. Broadcom, okay? Now, we know our markets do two things. They base and trend, okay? This is basically kind of like how I look at stocks, like I look at futures, right? You guys always hear me say the most traded price of the week, the most traded price of the month. Well, the most traded price of the last month is around 345, right here. That turquoise right there. This volume profile showing 345 is the most traded price of the last month, right? So I know it's coiling up, right? And then you have this gap, right? Here's the gap. And the market has been trending lower, right? This happened to be the most traded price of last week. So when the most traded price of the week and the month line up, you're going to get a big move. Now, I don't know if it's going to happen this week. I don't know. Right? Nobody knows that stuff. But if we zoom in to what happened yesterday, that's beautiful. We opened up, had a nice big green candle, and look at that. Just got ripped to shreds. Ripped. Came down to last week's lows. Okay, now I don't know what happens from here, but you can see what I also use my analysis was the expected move indicator. The expected move to the downside this week in Broadcom is 314. So that's what I'm targeting in my spread. Okay, so like I said, if it lands around here in the afternoon on Friday, I can pick up $1,500 for a 248 debit risk. Remember, I'm up already in the spread, so I just need that spread to land around here. Now, if it lands anywhere from about 328 down to here, I'm in profit. This is just max. If I can get $600, $500, great, right? So, just wanted to share that with you guys. If anybody has any questions regarding the spread, and I'll show you one other thing. One second here. I'll show you one other thing. And again, I understand that some of these are advanced. Then that's some. This spread is advanced. I don't expect everybody to be like, "Wow, I totally get it. I understand it fully." I've been doing this for a long time. This advanced spread, so they're very easy for me, but not always easy to explain. I want to show you the risk profile on this and just explain it a little more. Okay, so here's the risk profile, and just to explain, the green triangle is my profit, right? So the market was around here yesterday. In this green triangle is where my potential profit is for Friday. Okay, so that's the beauty of this spread, right? All back here is my debit. I can lose $248 if I let it expire worthless, right? Same thing down here. I have a little more risk to the downside. However, if you see here, my max profit, like I said, is, I'm probably not going to get it to be perfect here. Oh, right there, $1,250. That's because I paid $250. So it takes that away from my profit. That's why I said $1,500, but I paid about $250. So I'll make $1,250 if the market is here. Now, anywhere in here, right? If I just said it, so let's say it stops at 321, I'll make 642. If it stops at 310, I'll make $752. So as long as this is in this area, this triangle, I make money. That's the bottom line. Beautiful spread. It's advanced, okay? But like I said, if anybody has a question about it, feel free to reach out to me. All right? Now, moving on, we're going to look at the market profile, volume profile here. We'll get right into it. We have a big level to talk about here. This is our market profile, volume profile. All right, let's look at our profile. It's got multiple distributions. Distribution. It's like a Christmas tree. All right. So the level that stands out of all is your 66.92s. with this demand. That is big time support, folks. That is your most traded price of the week. I showed you earlier, it's the anchored VWAP. All right, that is support there. So far, the market's telling you it's support. Now, on the flip side, the 66.95s, the 66.90s, let's call it. How many times we came down here, right? What I'm going to say is, if we break that level and the most traded price of the week, you do go into this little bit of a chop zone here. But I believe now that there's big time support there, if we lose that, I believe we'll go down to at least 67.60, 67.70, most traded price of the month, and can fall farther. So that's a big level. And depending on the market, how it opens, who knows? Now, why I don't like this right now? The price is right here. It's pretty much in the middle of yesterday's session. That is not an area I want to be, okay, at all. It's in a supply zone as well, right here. Most traded price of yesterday, 67.13 around, or 67.14. Okay. So that's the level to the downside. Now to the upside, you have a previous week's highs was really resistance yesterday. You have this poor high here in the overnight session that did not get touched. That's begging to be broken, folks. So I'm going to put a nice little box there. And we have a supply here. Okay. So we'll just have to see what shakes out here. Okay. Now we do have the big level here at your 66.70s, your most traded price of the month. You can't lose that. You did lose it last week, but then you recovered it. Okay. So let's get right into a scenario here. Let's open up this session. Okay. The session is literally two different basing consolidations. You could see them very clearly. Okay. Let's get into scenarios. All right, we're going to start with the bull. All right, so this has been support, right? Now, a couple things here that could happen. Okay. You got nice support of the resistance here around your 67.16s. Okay. Most traded price of yesterday. So that's an important level. Actually, let me put that there because that is an important level. That is a very important level, okay? So what the market needs to do, and that's why I'm saying I don't like that it's in the middle. However, it's a very important level. Okay. So if the market was to break the supply in the overnight highs, right? And it takes out the most traded price of yesterday. Well, what I would look for is a pullback to test that, to go long and to break the 67.36s and to go up to maybe the 40s. Okay. That could happen. All right. Your next one would be, okay, let's say we start going towards the overnight lows in yesterday's lows. That's that big support level I talked about. And this is the test. Most traded price of the week's here. And a demand zone. Okay. This needs to happen quick. Okay. If it takes it out, recovers, retests this, yeah, that's a long here. Okay. That's really all I'm interested in. Now, as far as the short side, okay, what if we did this? Okay, a couple things here. We could come up, break that, but then get a nasty wick. Go back under yesterday's most traded price, retest it. Now you test that big support, your 66.92s with your most traded price of the week. If you take this out and you start accepting price here, you might retest that and we can go back to 66.70. You lose that, that's pretty crazy. Okay, so could get the short here, could take profit here. That could be it. You could get short here and then go here. Now, if the market, okay, one more, does move up, but let's say it moves up here fairly quickly into this supply, and we just pop our head above this poor high. And let's say the market is not that strong. Well, if we get some lower highs, that could be just a revert to the mean here. Okay, that's ES. NASDAQ. And this is our NASDAQ. Profile doesn't really tell us much, okay? But, oh, let me show you something quick. Remember I talked about this 24829 level, right? Where do I see that clear? It's going to be right here. Okay. See this big jetting out hot pink line? That is your most traded price of this month. You see it right here. There's the monthly profile, the white. That's the VPOC for this month. You can see also here the big volume. Okay, so I'm saying this market is chopping around this level for multiple weeks. That's the line in the sand, folks. Okay. All right, back to here. All right, now that we know that level, the 24829 is very important. Very important. Okay. We're going to move into some levels here. Okay. Now you don't have that perfect level like you did in the ES here to support. You don't have it. It's not perfect. You do have an unfilled gap from yesterday. Okay, so I'm still going to put this area here. Yesterday's lows, the previous overnight lows over here, right here. Now that 24829 level is right here. That actually lines up with this supply zone. Okay, in the most traded price of yesterday. And we have a poor high here that can get broken. All right, now you have a little supply zone from yesterday's highs, and then you have all-time highs up here, last week's highs. Okay, so, and then you have the most traded price of the rolling week, about 24620 right here. Okay, let's break it out, and we'll do scenario, and I'll let you guys go. Okay. So pretty similar actually to the ES. So what do we got here? Price is right here. Let's move this back a little more. Price is right here. Remember, they're right on the 24829s. That's the monster level in your NASDAQ. Put it on your chart. Remember it. So what do I want to see? Break that polar high in the overnights. Retest yesterday's most traded price, which happens to be around that 24829s. You hold that, you make a higher low, retest it. You got a little bit of thin volume here. You can make yourself way back up here. Maybe test 25027's last week's highs. Don't know if that happens. Okay? But that's a player. All right, that definitely is a player. Now, here's the difference. Here's the difference in the NASDAQ. That 24829 level is a beast. Okay, remember, it's a bull bear line. It's going to give me my bias for the day. So, if we did break that and came down here and hit this demand, right? Do I love a long underneath that level? Probably not. Okay, obviously you can get something in here quick. You maybe can go back and hit that from the backside. Like you can revert to the mean, possibly. Okay, if the market's not that weak. But honestly, if you're under that level, I'm not going to love something long that much. Now, don't get me wrong, you can revert to the mean. Let's say if we go down there and the market is not that weak, I'm like, okay, the market's not that weak. We might just revert to the mean. Possibly. All right. But if it keeps falling away from this level, that's kind of not, that's a little more bearish. Okay. Now, bear side. Bear side here. So, here, same kind of thing as the ES. Let's say we break the overnight highs, but then we get a wick, right? And maybe let's say we go back under this level and then we retest it. That could be a short, breaking the overnight lows. And then you can see if you could take out this demand zone. You possibly can go down to that most traded price of the week, 24624s. You take that out. Woof. Woof. All right. Go back to maybe last week's lows, 24422s. I don't know. Okay. I don't know. Now, just like the ES, if we do go off and take off like this real quick off the open, but the market really never gets a chance to get super strong, there also could be a lower high here, and you can revert back to that mean. Okay, that's scenarios, folks, for today. Smash that like button if you can for me. That would be much appreciated. Help my channel out. All right, and as always, please join me every morning. Give me the market story. Let me be a cup of coffee, tea, water, your choice of beverage, and let me give you the market story, the economic calendar, the market news, the leaders and the laggards, and why our market's doing what it does. Okay? Why our market does what it does. I followed up with technical analysis, and I just gave you the long and short trades scenarios on the NASDAQ and the ES futures. Okay? Now, you want more granular, you want more intraday commentary, you're going to join my Discord. That's Confluence Trading. Go to the YouTube homepage, click on the link, sign up. What are you waiting for? Let me be your indicator. Okay? Let me be your indicator. Come in the room. Interact with me. Okay? Interact. Let me know if you have any questions. What am I seeing? Why did I say that? Whatever it is. Okay? Sign up. And use that expected move indicator. You can put it on your desktop and your piece, and so you can put it on your desktop and your mobile phone, your cell phone. Okay. All right, everybody. If I don't see you in my Discord, I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. All right. Remember, no trade's a trade. Stay green, and I'll see everybody.